Welcome to DC. You know we're down at the USA Cup. You're taking it slightly, I'm taking it slightly. Now how you gon' act when you won't be right back? Well, we gon' be right here, we gon' be right here. We ain't going nowhere. Welcome to DC.
Hey, this is Hog Farmer Keith of the Hog Farmers Charitable Foundation. And before you listen to Owning the Huddle podcast presented by Red Zone in the Lab, the Hog Farmers Charitable Foundation has put together an awesome program where you can help make a difference in helping us raise money to assist families who are faced with the everyday stresses it takes for their child to battle cancer. How do you do this? Well, we challenge you to become a 2023 Hog Farmer Ambassador. You can check out this information on our website at hogfarmerscharity.org, or you can learn more by heading to our Facebook and or Twitter feeds. The way that you do this is you click the ambassador link, you start your campaign, you set a goal, you reach your audience, and you help raise $250 or more. So who's with us on helping put a smile on the family's face while they go through these tough times?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Owning the Huddle podcast. It is me, DT. It's your boy, CeeLo, and your other boy, Breeze Butler. And we back with another episode today. And want to cover this little thing that just shot down real quick. So we just seen that C.J. Gardner-Johnson had just gotten a contract, not with the Philadelphia Eagles, but with the Detroit Lions. It's a one-year deal for $8 million. And I got to say, guys, I was thinking he was going to get that big money elsewhere, probably with Philly. I think he was going to go back to Philly, get an opportunity to run it back with them. But I think Philadelphia has other plans. So what do y'all think about this for him, not only for himself, but what do you think this does to a potential Cam Curl extension down the road?
Yeah, it's interesting. I agree. I think it was funny initially. It was being reported that they wanted to keep Charlie Gard, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, based on his production last season. I think he's young. What is he, like 26, 27, something like that?
About that, I think so.
Yeah, so I mean, age shouldn't be a concern. Had a fantastic. I know the trade from what was he? He was in the Saints before, so it's like a really nice fit. But if somehow Eagles are moving away from him, which is interesting because the safety market is usually pretty affordable. So you would think they may want to. That's someone they may want to hold on to, have another year in the system. 25, so 25 years old. So another year in the system. Trajectory is pointing up, and then he goes over to the to Detroit. So there could be some familiarity with Detroit. He may be pricing himself a little high, so the Eagles is like, yeah, we like you, we don't love you. So it could be kind of one of those interesting situations. And then as it relates to Cam Curl, I feel like they're slightly different players. I think Cam kind of plays, that Viper role. So he plays a lot in the box. He does cover quite a bit. So he can kind of play both positions, strong and free, if you want to think about a traditional sense, like in the nickel package or even in dime package. So that may play into a little bit of the factors, but it doesn't help Cam Curl's case, in my opinion. When I look at the contracts for free agents, for free safeties, 5 or 6 or so safeties making more than C.J. Gardner-Johnson. So, long story short, the market is what the market is. So he's going to have to, either continue to play it out and see if the market kind of increases. Maybe take a short deal. It's really helpful for the Commanders. So great for the Commanders, not so great for C.J. Gardner-Johnson or for Cam Curl even. So we'll see how that goes.
I mean, with me, Personally, I'm happy that he's leaving the NFC East. To be honest with you, I wish he would have gone to the AFC. I wish he would have gone to the AFC somewhere, but you know what I mean. I'll take it. We ain't got to play him twice a year because he was fairly productive in that Eagles secondary. When you talk about comparing his contract to what Cam Curl, might be looking toward getting, I don't think Cam is it's kind of like a playing to your audience kind of thing. So like CeeLo said, they're not really the same kind of player. I think Cam's going to be tapped into those PFF numbers that have him ranked as like a top 3 safety in the league, which he's been productive. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if he's top 3, but he's absolutely been productive in his defense. But I think he's going to be way more tapped into those numbers, the Von Bells and some of the Jordan Poyer, some of those guys that may be higher up as far as trying to get a contract comparable to them. Especially with CJ being on a 1-year deal, if I'm not mistaken. But I think Cam's gonna be. I think he's gonna probably use that contract as a floor, if anything, and probably try to shoot higher. But he's out of the NFC East, so I'm happy for
it. Well, all right then. I mean, shoot, he out the East. He out the East. It is what it is. But
Welcome to Owning the Huddle podcast presented by Red Zone in the Lab, where we discuss all things Washington Commanders, from the executive and front offices, coaches, players, and fan experience. Join DT, Breeze, CeeLo, and Deuce as they break down the pre- and post games. Do it because you love it and not because it loves you. Hail Commanders!
Welcome back to LTA Podcast.
It's Dan Snyder reign finally coming to an end. It was crazy reports. Commanders Twitter was going absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts last night. Everybody that has a paid blue check, a Twitter blue, was tweeting out stuff, trying to get cred. Then people started just doing any types of crazy stuff, man. It was so funny last night, man. It's just a funny thing. But one thing we can't ignore is the excitement around the possibility of him selling a team, right? I mean, I think that's genuinely real. You know what I mean? So, like CeeLo, when you see and you see how close it could be, you have some journalists that's been following it, right? AJ Perez, you got JP Finley, you got Rick Snyder. Those guys are saying, "Hey, look, it's done. It's getting done. We should hear something soon. We are almost there." How does that make you feel?
Speechless. I'm speechless, man. Every time somebody says something like AJ, someone as reputable as him and some of the others, I'm excited. I'm like, yo, is this real? Is it happening? So I'm very excited about the prospects and getting close. I'm just waiting for the news, the actual news. At this point, I'm like, I just want to see an announcement from either the, Goodell himself or the team itself or the new owner. Like those 3 entities is what I'm looking for. But I appreciate the energy because it's gonna be something serious when it's real.
Yeah, I think just looking at this so far, I don't know how much I have seen how the madness of Twitter has been for the past couple of days. We've seen all these reports. Like, it's like every day we're getting a report. It's like juicy. It just gets juicier and juicier. Like I'm so excited, but it's like I'm just ready for it just to be official. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we keep hearing all these little chatter stuff like that. Then JP putting up it's first and goal at the goal. I'm like, no, I don't need that. I need to go in the red zone right now. I need to score. I need it now. I'm tired of all this wait. But, man, I'm just starting to see, like, we're starting to see the fan base a little bit, like, we've been in the spaces. They're starting to come in the spaces. Not the regular people like us been talking. It's like a couple of fans been showing their excitement for this and stuff like that. And I was like, man, we could potentially try to get this fan base back. Like, it's I cannot wait for the news to drop.
So for me, I mean, life has unfortunately taught me to not get my hopes up too much. So, like, I'm right there. Like I'm right there. And I'm so terrified just based on life experiences that the minute I think everything is going the way it should be going, something terrible is going to happen. I'm traumatized by it. So as much as I want things to change, I'm trying my best to like remain calm and not buy into every single report that I see because I feel like just I don't know. I'm terrified, but I'm ecstatic at the possibility of it. But until I see something concrete and official, I'm doing my best to rein it in and contain myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. Like CeeLo was saying, man. I'm like, no, like AJ, I get you. I love you. You've been on the podcast. You always showing love in the spaces. Rick Snyder, you was there when Dan Snyder had bought the team. You all in the mix. JP, you in the building. I get it. You know what I'm saying? I needed to come from Raj. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I need Raj to even make a statement or put out something or come on ESPN, whatever Raj got to do, I need to hear from Raj. You know what I mean? That's where I know it's official if I hear from Raj. Until then, it's going to be very exciting to hear the news that he sold. But nah, man, I need Raj, man. I need Raj. So another thing for Sweet 301 is John Masco was fired. And this kind of happened right after we made a couple of O-line signings. And when that was going on, it was kind of some speculations that he didn't agree with the signing and so forth and so forth. Then it kind of came out that, him and Bieniemy just wanted to see how it worked, wanted to try it out between them two. I really don't think they hit it off early, but I think that's somebody that Ron Rivera wanted around, to be honest. And I think that's where we ended up. So they tried to work it out for a few weeks. It didn't work out. They have different philosophies from what was said, and he was relieved of his duty. So, DT, was that kind of surprising to you? Because we did have he worked through some battles the year prior with all of those centers going down, some O linemen going down. He would still be able to have a top 10 O line, but this year it wasn't so. And we also heard some rumblings about how he relates more to the veterans and not to the young people. But what was your take when you heard the firing of John Masco?
I was very shocked because of the timing. You know, it was literally right after the day we assigned 2 free agent O linemen, and then you see that news and you're like, "Whoa, what's going on?" Like, if that was going to happen, that should have been done way earlier when we were bringing all the new guys like Bobby Ingram, the new quarterback coach, things like that. But I do think like they were, like you said, they were trying to see if things could work. Like when you look at Masco and some of the things EB were doing in Kansas City, there were some things that they could potentially do that could work out and things like that. But ultimately I think like with the Scott Turner situation, Ron Rivera, it was a philosophy difference. I think there were some things that EB wanted to do. Maybe he wanted to get a little bit more athletic, more than like a little bit of the power scheme. A little bit look like we're going to be running a little bit more zone, outside zones, things like that. From looking at all 22s and things, but um, I think Masco, from his time here, he was still a decent coach. I do think when you look at the Chris Paul situation, Chris Paul should have had an opportunity to play earlier instead of the last week with Sam Howell, just to see what he can do. We've been hearing that, he's been getting the reps in practice. He's been looking good against Allen and Payne and them, but you didn't put him on the field. You had Andrew Norwell and Trey Turner, and you had a lot of injuries and stuff. You could at least put the rookie in. And maybe this is a good thing. Maybe we can finally get development out of Chris Paul. Maybe we can. This could probably save Sadiq Charles' career. Like let's see what this new guy, whoever comes in, either is it Terrell Warden, who I think should have an opportunity. He's been the one going to these All-Star games, helping these young guys develop and things like that, or possibly somebody from Andy Reid's treat again from Kansas City. If you want to bring someone like that, I think you just need to see, can you reach the younger part of your roster, and can they become a staple for the future?
Yeah, just to piggyback off what DT just said, I think Travell Wharton is probably the most logical answer at this point. It is. It is. I mean, I know it's early in the year, but it's kind of late in the game as far as coaching changes. So it is kind of bad timing. You know, most NFL teams are kind of locked in their staffs moving forward. Colleges they're starting up spring ball. They're kind of locked in. So like, what tree would you necessarily pluck from to go and get somebody? I mean, if it's a promotion, most people will be open to it, but it is kind of bad timing. So I believe Travell Wharton will be the guy to go with. Moving forward to see kind of what they choose to do with that position. But as far as the reasoning for him leaving, you know, with some of the lines that he's had to coach in the last few years, you can't tell me that adding two new pieces to it was the final straw. You know what I'm saying? Like adding Nick Gates and Andrew Wiley was like we had to deal with this the last 3 years, and now this is the final straw. Like, nah, I don't see that being the case. Like DT said, I think it was just the case where, you know, EB and Ron really wanted Masco to stick around, and EB was like, all right, we'll see how it works, and just got to a point where it was like, you know, it just wasn't working out for whatever reason. They just chose to move forward, moving in the opposite direction. But yeah, I'm curious to see what they do with it moving forward, and hopefully it's for the best, the better of everybody. You know, our team included, primarily.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Timing is awkward. Second year in a row, we have a kind of an awkward position coach firing or awkward timing, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Ron. I don't know if it's, you know, someone else in the building or if it's EB. You know what I'm saying? I mean, EB does feel like you know, he seems like a strong personality. So maybe he did come in there and say, man, this joint is trash. But my first thought, what y'all think? My first thought was Juan Castillo, because he's an Andy Reid disciple. He's on our squad. I'm guessing that the EB has a relationship with Juan. Juan's been in the league for a long time. He actually is primarily, that's his specialty, is O-line. I think, actually. Then I won't say specialty, but I thought he's coached them before, at least. So that's nothing name to throw out there. Maybe that could be consideration. But I think that, the timing is weird. I don't know where the other candidates outside the building are. Lastly, you know, anyone that was working under Masco, I would think, have a similar philosophy. Maybe because I think y'all just talked about Travell Wharton. He's also from Carolina under Masco. So I just felt like maybe if it's truly philosophical, what's the difference between the two? Or if it's just a different voice, maybe that's enough. So a couple thoughts.
I think it might be more like a personality thing than a schematic thing. You know, scheme wise, you can kind of tweak stuff a little bit here and there to kind of. I mean, you know, everybody's different, but theoretically, you can kind of tweak stuff here and there from a position standpoint. So I would assume it might be more personality than scheme based. But you know, what do I know?
And to add to that, I think when you look at this now, and you made a great point, I definitely forgot about this, CeeLo. Last year, we had the whole Sam Mills situation where they literally went through the whole OTAs, the whole offseason after the draft, and eventually, like the second or maybe third day of training camp, they decided to fire him right after they inducted his father. So you saying this, I think this just shows how big, in my opinion, the continuity and the loyalty that Ron has for his people that he brought over. He at least tries to give them an opportunity to see if does it work, does it blend in what the new guy is. So this is going to be a different because EB, he has his own aurora. He has his own energy that he brings. And if it's not matching for what EB wants, because let's face it, this offense, he is the head coach. He is the head coach of this offense. So Ron's not going to mess with that at all. If anything, Ron's going to make sure it's special team, and he's going to check in with, you know, his guy Wolt Del Rio and make sure the defense is straight. But the offense, that's EB. EB has total control. He has total authority in what he wants. He's been with Andy Reid for 10 plus years. He knows what a good offense looks like. He knows what a sufficient and effective offense look like. And unfortunately, Masco was not in that picture for me.
No.
I was just gonna say, y'all think Ron comes across as a very like democratic type leader? Like he looks for everyone's input and then goes forward. He may be more of a dictator than y'all think.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
Mm.
he plays the analytics role. I listen to my guys, blah blah blah. But I feel like maybe in the background he has a little bit more. He's more authoritarian than we give him credit for. Like, this is my guy. You can't touch him. Or this is this is my my other coach. You can't touch him. Everyone else, whatever. And it may be a little bit of that there also. So just something to think about.
I agree with you. I just think as far as bringing EV over, it was kind of I feel like to get him here, it was like a understand like, yo, you do what you want to do on defense. This is me on this side of the ball. Like, yeah, we can talk about it, but I got the final
Yeah.
say. I think, like, yeah, I'll listen to you, but you know what I'm saying. This is me on offense over here. Like, I just feel like to get him to leave where he left to come here of all places, I think that had to be part of the conversation.
Yeah, man, that's very interesting. I never I knew Ron was the type of guy that would be like last year when we saw with Scott Turner, right? He said he emphasized, hey, look, we need to run the ball. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm quite sure he probably talked to Del Rio about some stuff. So yeah, I'm not surprised if we give him if we not giving him enough credit for that. It's not like he's just like, you go do what you're doing. He go run somewhere else.
Right.
I believe Ron Rivera is in every room. I believe he's
Right.
in every meeting, special teams, defense, and offense, sitting in the back like, okay.
Yep.
Then after the meeting, he's not somebody that will do it during the meeting, right? He seems like someone that'll wait till after when they meet. Hey, look, I think you should look at this, and that, and see how this works. Then if they don't do it for a couple of weeks, he goes back and say, this is what you're going to do now.
Right.
This, and this.
Right. I think that's exactly what it is. And I think people feel like he's that guy on the sideline, with his arms folded, like he don't know what he's doing. I think he knows exactly what's going on.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree. Speaking of Ron, right? So we did something that we usually don't do. We tag somebody and sign them to a long-term deal within 2 weeks of placing the franchise tag on them. But when we go into the free agency, of course, we didn't get nobody that we wanted in a sense, right? But Ron, he went out there. I think he got, some tier 2, borderline tier 3 players. Even with Gates, you can argue that's a tier 3. You can really argue that. Wiley, you can probably argue that that's a tier 2 type move. But is this a different Ron, or is this actually the same Ron, DT, and how he's approaching free agency?
I think he's still kind of the same, but in terms of letting us know that he really wants to bring our guys back, and he said, we're going to pay you. I think that's something new we haven't seen for a long time, especially for the years past when we've seen like Kirk Cousins, even though it's kind of a mixed crowd who people believe in him. But, Trent Williams, that situation, you let those type of guys go. And as talented they were on this team. They didn't win, but they were very talented players. So now you get to see Deron Payne, a young guy that we drafted. We put him in a system where he could succeed. He was in the final year of his contract, and he balled out. So, yeah, I think that's a huge difference because he always says that he learned his lesson from Carolina, where he let one of those defensive tackles walk out of his building, and then he saw the regression in his own defensive line. Now, when it comes to free agency, I think we're still the same. We're kind of going back to the 2020 method. We're getting like these up-and-coming guys. Either they're young, but they never really got an opportunity, like a Cody Barton, or there's someone that's solid. They got like about 40 to 50 starts at guard, tackle, versatility, like the Wes Schweitzer we had here. Now you get that in Nick Gates and you get that Andrew Wiley, 2 guys that can help out the offensive line right now. Now, they're not really solidified like position in terms of what position they actually play. They're not like a straight tackle or a straight guard, but they provide versatility just in case we go through another season of injuries. They can, I know you can play guard. I'm going to put you at guard, and then we can see what we can do with Cosby. So looking at that, it's kind of like 2020. We took a chance on a Logan Thomas and a J.D. McKissick and Kevin Pierre-Louis and Ronald Darby. And those guys helped us win a division at even 7-9. So I think those signings is good for us because we already have a strong core of players from the drafts. Now you're just trying to fix certain spots like the offensive line and the linebacker and corner position. Let's not forget the Cameron Dantzler pick. I think it's going to be a solid pickup for the young defensive backfield we have right now. So I think it's the still same Ron, but I'm not really mad about it.
I agree with most of that. This is now the fourth offseason for Ron. I really believe Ron is a draft guy. Um, he really does believe in the draft and developing his own, and then going from there. So re-signing, Payne or extending McLaurin last year, those are almost like our free agents, right? It's a part of free agency. We decided to invest in our own. So I like that. Like I think that's a sign of a franchise that's kind of prioritizing their own, and then going for other position groups or other non team guys for other areas of improvement. So I get all that. My only, I go back and forth because the one big outside free agent signing two I think I can think of was William Jackson III and Curtis Samuel. Those are the two like bigger name guys that we brought in from the outside because they just were available and whatever. So this offseason, what do we need? We need offensive line help, and we maybe need some nickel help. And you can argue linebacker too, because that's obviously an area that we've been struggling with from an injury perspective. But I can talk myself out of that. I mean, I could probably say, even without Cole, our defense improved. I don't know if it was because of Cole or it was just circumstances, but you can argue that linebacker probably isn't as big of a need as I thought it was because of those results. So you can argue that either way. My issue, I like the signings. I'm not hating the signings. It's just that I look at these individual players and their positions. Are they top 5? Are they top 10? Are they top 15? Right? Dude, would you think any 3 of those guys are top 15 in their position group? I don't know. I don't know. So that's kind of how I tend to evaluate these guys. I know, certain guys fit certain systems. So Wiley fits EB system, so it makes sense. He's healthy. He seems like he plays a lot. Good signing, right? Not bad. It's just not a wow signing. But hey, if he's healthy, if he can play whether it's guard or tackle, I'm happy. And because we've had so many injury issues there, if he can just be on the field, I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those like underwhelming, but that's just kind of where we are. And so, like I said at the beginning, they really prioritize the draft. So I really think that we got to come back to this point after the draft, and then we can kind of talk through how this all played out, because I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt that they prefer the draft, and they just kind of pick and choose those big time guys when the time is right on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree. I think it's a slight evolution of the same old Ron, if that makes any sense. I mean, maybe some smarter signings, because to CeeLo's point, with this regime, when they've made like splash pickups, they haven't necessarily panned out. William Jackson III, with all due respect to him, flopped terribly here, and now he's a free agent again to the team that just traded for him. Curtis was great last year, but his first year was a struggle for everybody. You know what I mean? So when he jumped out there and tried to make some of them splash signings, they haven't really worked for him. I don't necessarily have an issue with any other free agent pickups. Kind of just depends on what role they ultimately end up playing here. As far as Wiley Gates, Dantzler, some of the other pickups, it kind of just depends on what role they end up playing. And some of the guys that they picked up are, to me, I believe they're essentially camp bodies and can just earn a roster spot, but not necessarily guarantee a roster spot. So that is worth noting. Like, you do have to have, not have to, but you can have up to 90 guys on your roster for the summertime for training camp. So you might as well, fill the roster up. And we all know coaches tend to do that with guys that they're more familiar with, as far as Wiley and some of those other guys. So I don't have any problem with what they've done to this point. I just, like CeeLo said, I kind of want to see how it turns out on the back end, you know what I mean, and see what they ultimately become, because half of these dudes might not even be here in September, you know what I mean? So, But yeah, no issues. No issues. Just a slight evolution of the same old process for real.
Right.
Mayo.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna get it to him in a little bit. We're gonna just have this short break and we're gonna come back to give our grades. We're gonna do our favorite off-season move, our least favorite off-season move, and of course, just grade it thus far. So I want you all to go check out You Grow Girl. That's Grow, GROW, written by a dear friend of mine, Jay Smith. It's for daily affirmations for Black women. It is filled with beautiful, colorful images of Black women and powerful affirmations. You can find it at Amazon at Amazon.com.
Welcome back to OTA Podcast.
All right, so here we go. All season grades. We started with CeeLo. Give us your favorite move, your least favorite move.
All right. So obviously, like I said in the previous segment or the other segment, Deron Payne, I was very, very, very pessimistic about that happening, man. I was like, this dude's gonna want the bag, and are we gonna give it to him? And then I found out, if y'all recall from I want to say it was Ben Standing, they did not even offer him. No, it was Deron himself. My bad, Deron himself. They did not even offer him a deal at all last year.
Yep.
So I was really shocked. So go from zero deal to saying, "Hey, let me see. Let's talk again later on, Deron," to an actual top 3, top 2 deal in the NFL for a D tackle. Mind blown. Danny Johnson, I felt, was a very, very sneaky good pickup or extension. Excuse me. I really like Danny Johnson when he comes in. I know he typically comes in. He plays a lot of special teams, but he typically comes in when we have some injuries in the nickel and sometimes even on the outside. And for some reason, he always shows up. He's always prepared for the most part. And I just felt like it's just one of those guys that you got to have on your teams. You got to have some Danny Johnson on your team. And I feel like that was just a smart, maintenance, if you will. And the least favorite, no offense, my man, Dave. I know you a ball player, so obviously props to you, but it's been a struggle, man, watching you out there. I feel like
He says it's been a struggle watching.
Man, we got a lot of balls in the NFC East, man. It's been tough. It's been tough, bro. So hopefully camp body, and we can talk about that later. So that's my picks.
All right, DT, you went O-line.
Yeah, so for me, I truly believe watching this year, looking at the Philadelphia Eagles, looking at the Cowboys in the past, and some of these other teams. So you talk about the quarterback position, but one of the reasons that helps the quarterback is having great O-line play. And looking at Nick Gates, he was a guy that was undrafted from Nebraska. He's had some roles with the New York Giants. Listening to the Giants fans, they're going to hate missing him, even though he did have that big serious injury against us Thursday night. This guy, he's a baller. He's a feisty dog coming out the cage, and that's someone we need going against the defensive lines in the NFC. And Andrew Wiley as well. This one, I don't know why we didn't say his name when we were talking about free agency last week, but this guy makes total sense. He played with EB, played in Kansas City. He fits offense. He can probably be a good rental for like maybe a year or so at the right tackle spot and help us can see what Sam Cosby can do. And least favorite, starting to beat the dead horse, but David Mayo, it's only because like I know we can do way better at the linebacker position, but the literal ignorance to keep bringing the same people back, knowing you can get something way better. And I hate because he's a good guy, but we know what he is at this point. Let's get some new blood like you did in 2020, like a Kevin Pierre-Louis type. Bring somebody else that can help coverage and things like that. It's a B.
B from the teacher. Now let's go to the coach.
So I'm sitting over here trying to think about a new way that I can, elaborate on David Mayo being my least favorite signing. And I'm coming up black. I mean, I don't have to continue to beat on this dead horse. I'm gonna just look at it and just assume he's a camp body for now. And if he legitimately earns a roster spot, then so be it. But I don't have plans of seeing it was 51. I don't have plans of seeing 51 out there past the third preseason game. As far as my favorite moves. As far as my favorite moves, I mean, Deron Payne goes without saying. I mean, this is a new thing for us to have a draft a guy. He comes in, produces, and yeah, we've signed a few guys before it came to tagging them. But with us as a like historically, once we tag somebody, they may play for a year or two on that tag, and then they are gone. You know what I mean? So for us to not only tag him but re-sign him to a long-term deal before he ever gets to play on the tag, that's a big deal for me. So. Especially with as good of a player as Deron is, you know, in the defensive line, so for sure with Deron Payne. And then I think Cameron Dantzler is a sneaky good pickup. You know, I like Danny Johnson, but I think Cam Dantzler can do some things on special teams. He's a bigger corner, I think 6'2", 6'3". So he's a bigger dude on the outside. I believe he does have a little bit of baggage with him. So hopefully, you know, we can. You do need a few goons on every team, but hopefully we can work out the outside goon, just make him a football goon. But yeah, I think it's a sneaky good pickup. Somebody that can help on special teams, help, you know, at depth purposes in the secondary and moving guys around, and you know, probably end up actually competing with Danny Johnson for one of those last 4 or 5 cornerback spots, or however many they choose to keep, 5 or 6, maybe, who knows. But I think it'll be good. I think it'll be a good sneaky pickup for us. So my grade is a B, because I feel like there were areas that could have been addressed that weren't addressed. Now I feel like they'll address them in the draft. But you know, for real, I want to see an I, because it's a little incomplete for me. But it's okay. I'm gonna go with a B for now, and you know, hopefully we can bump that up.
Yeah, man, we definitely going to come back to this, right? We're going to, and some of our grades will probably change. Favorite, least favorite may also change. You just never know. There's still some marquee free agents out there. There's some surprises that they can bring in, which I would be surprised. Let me ask y'all just one question before we go to our not about us. Just give me one player which you would think that we don't need, that it'll be a surprise and you would be okay with them picking up somebody. Just offhand, if y'all have anybody. Let's go with DT, Breeze, and CeeLo.
Don't need.
By that, are you meaning like somebody that we haven't signed yet? Like, you want to bring them up?
Yeah, like anybody that's a free agent, even if we don't need them at that position. What would be a surprise that we pick up that you will be like, okay, I like this?
That might be tough. I'm thinking the kid from Kansas City that usually been talking to us about, the tight end, or Forston. I think he could probably fit in the room for Bill's offense. But it's just, when you look at the tight end room, it's so deep with other younger guys. It's going to be, you know what I'm saying, it's going to be a lot of young guys trying to compete for maybe like the 4th or 3rd spot, depending on if we use a fullback in this offense. And then you have Logan Thomas as well. So I think, you know, if it was me, I'll try to give him a shot. I think he's big, athletic. I don't think he has the same burst like as Amari Rodgers, but he could be a big target in the open field.
So me, I would say, y'all gonna laugh. Will be surprised for me, Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
We don't need him. I don't think. You know, but if you think about a healthy Zeke, you know, I think he's in a point of his career where he's definitely, you know, kind of a dual back, you know, situation where he can't carry, you know, 25 times a game, but he can probably give you 15 to 20 in the pinch. Injuries are a thing. I can see it. I'm just saying.
Let me just say, I hope
that would be crazy.
To every God that we don't sign Ezekiel Elliott. Just please steer far away from that. I didn't know Fortson was a free agent. I actually like him. I think dude can ball. But I think we could actually use him, so I won't go for him. I'm gonna stick with the Chiefs though. I'm gonna go with McCole Hardman.
Mm.
I'm gonna go with McCole Hardman because he would definitely fit in with the obviously he should know the majority of what the offense will be. He has familiarity with it. But I think we are set at the first 3 receiver positions at the very least, and I think they want to legitimately give De'Ami Brown a chance with Sam Howell to see if that chemistry is still there. So with bringing in somebody like McCole Hardman, who would play, would essentially, for real kind of push De'Ami to the back end of that receiver conversation. And he's not necessarily needed here, but if he was to put that pen to paper, I'm not going to shake my head at it though, for sure.
I got one for you. Jadeveon Clowney.
Oh, I would like it. I would like that.
Jadeveon Clowney.
That would be very interesting for conversation.
That'd be Twitter crazy, bro.
Jadeveon Clowney. Competition, right?
Listen, they signed Jadeveon Clowney. Twitter is going to be.
Man, I said it before. Them dudes penciling their names already. Both DNs. They ain't got no comp.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't got no comp.
Yep.
You're right about that. You're right about that.
James Smith-Williams and K. Yeah. People can boost them all y'all want, but you can see when Chase came in at like 40% those last 3 games, he was better than them off the break.
It was different. Yeah,
like it was different. Not about us before we close the show. Michael Jordan, arguably the GOAT, right? Is he a business GOAT? Right? So when we think about the Jordan brand, yes, he's the GOAT. I mean, this guy hasn't played in a couple decades, maybe.
Can I?
And go ahead, Bree.
Real quick. So
that man raised his hand.
So, because I love Mike, right? Like everybody from our era of life loves some part of Michael Jordan, right?
Everybody was Bulls fans.
Yeah,
I was a Bullets fan, but I mean, whatever, it happens. I'm weird like that. But when you talk specifically when you talk about the Jordan brand, right? And I'm gonna let y'all take flight and land y'all plane. Just let me number one, Jordan brand itself is a subsidiary of Nike. That's not something that Michael Jordan himself started.
Uh-oh.
And then, I mean, it is what it is. And then number two, if we look at the totality of the Jordan brand, what do most people like about Jordan brand? They like retro Jordan, the shoes that they saw Michael Jordan play basketball in. Everything else is like, we can kind of do without it. Like the Team Jordans, the new stuff coming out now, the Jordan brand apparel. Don't nobody care about none of that. The retro Jordans from 1 to like 15 and for some people to like 20 is carrying the Jordan brand through. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And in the secondary market.
He cooking the Jordan brand.
Listen, I love Mike. I'm not gonna show y'all my shoes, but y'all know. I love Mike. You feel me? But we not finna sit here now like we talking about Michael Jordan as a businessman, like just oh yeah, he got the Jordan brand. He like that.
Bree's like, not today, Mike.
Yeah. He's like,
just saying.
But
there are other business ventures to touch on. So please.
So this is how I feel about it, right? Hearing about it, I don't really pay attention to Jordan as like a owner majority of the time. Now, my time when I was in like North Carolina for school and we had the CIAA tournament, I did see him up in the booth when we had CIAA and stuff like that. But I don't know what he is as a business guy. But from looking at his teams, like the Charlotte Hornets / Bobcats, when they were the Bobcats, they have not been a successful franchise. So I'm not trying to say all that is on him, but you own the team. So I don't know. Like my team right now, like we're middle of the pack, and we're this close. We're this close to being a winner / perennial power in the NFL. If you look at just the talent on the roster, and everybody knows we have talent. If you don't see we don't have talent, you might need to go get your eyes checked. Hindsight 2020, what they all say. But Jordan, I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan tried to jump in with Bezos. I would not be surprised. And from hearing other people talk, he does have relationships in DC during his time with the Wizards. So I'm kind of off on Jordan. He is the GOAT to me. I do have all the Jordan shoes, but I wasn't watching. I watched Jordan when he came back to the Bulls. I'm a 95 baby. So when he came back, I was still messing with Legos and stuff, man. I'm the youngest guy in the group. So y'all, I'll leave the floor to y'all because I don't know Jordan.
So
anybody remember the Jordan era Wizards?
He was good, yeah. Like he wasn't Mike, but
I mean ownership Mike, not basketball Mike. I'm talking about what Mike was in the owner suite.
Yeah. That's what I was about to go. That's what I was about to get into, CeeLo, to ask him. Maybe Ted and them boys, maybe they knew what they was doing. Jordan thought he was gonna be able to come back. And in front office, I was like, nah. I mean, I know we said that, but nah.
Man, Jordan.
What had happened was
it's funny. It's funny you say that because this is now the second time. If you bring it back to that example, in that time period, this will be the second time Jordan is going to sell a stake of the team. So the first time he sold a stake of the team, he had to sell it to be able to play, right? Coach or play. So you can't do both. And so he sold it to go back on the floor, which is even as I'm not gonna say I was much older than 2 years old than where DT was, but when he did it, I'm like, why would he do that? I'm like, you own a franchise. Why are you going? Why are you going back on the? You 40 years old. What are you doing? But that was me. So fast forward, 20 years later, and he's selling the majority stake of his. He's no longer going to be the owner of the Charlotte Hornets, right? He's going to be a minority owner. He's going to own a piece, but he's not going to be the guy anymore, which I think that's a big deal. Now, this is the third NBA owner to sell a majority stake of their team. And I think that's because a lot of the NBA is like peaking in terms of its value. And so cats who want to be more liquid are like, I'm out, so it's just business. I know some people linking it to the Bezos or to this team sale. I don't think so personally, just because I think the values of teams between NBA and NFL is like 10x. So if he wanted to be a part of an ownership team, he would have to be obviously a minority owner, and he would be a part of that crew, which is cool. But long story short, I'm not a big Jordan businessman fan, bro. I've had some bad experiences with Jordan. He had a horrible restaurant in Georgetown for a long time. The worst steakhouse ever in DC was the Jordan Steakhouse. And then he had the same joint. I don't know if y'all ever know about it. He has another restaurant, same name, out there in a casino in Connecticut called MGM, and one of MGM brands, but it's out in Connecticut on a reservation. Horrible, and so on and so forth. So as a player, love him, the best. My opinion, he's the GOAT. As a businessman, So I'll take him. I mean, he's Jordan. And the Commanders.
That would be something, right? You know what I mean? Like Mike all of a sudden, Mike trying to sell sell that majority to try to get in on Bezos, to not be like the guy, right? To kind of be in the shadows. And that's kind of like link on someone, like link on Bezos, how Breeze kind of, Cook Mike that he linked on Nike in a sense, right? So that'll kind of be like on brand with the Jordan brand. But again, this is Owning the Huddle podcast. Deuce, we got DT, you got CeeLo, we got Breeze in the building. We appreciate all of you out there for watching. We thank you for listening. Mike, we love you. Those comments are of Breeze himself and do not speak of me.
Mike, you the GOAT, Mike. You the GOAT, Mike. I love you. I love your shoes. I got a whole bunch of. I done put a whole bunch of money in your pocket now, Mike. You know, my favorite shoe ever is the Playoff 12 because of you, Mike. But
oh man, remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you.
Welcome to Owning the Huddle podcast presented by Red Zone in the Lab, where we discuss all things Washington Commanders, from the executive and front offices, coaches, players, and fan experience. Join DT, Breeze, CeeLo, and Deuce as they break down the pre- and post games. Do it because you love it and not because it loves you. Hail Commanders!
Welcome back to OTA Podcast.